Thank you to Rabbi Springer, Rabbi Peters, Lee, Nora, Jill, Sarah, Rabbi Harris, and all of you for being here for this moment. My new community and dear family and friends. I am honored to be formally installed as Bethel's associate rabbi. Bill Rudolph, our Rabbi Emeritus, was the first to hold this position. I also join Abe Lubin, our Chazan Emeritus, Asa Fradkin, our Chazan, Greg Harris, our senior rabbi, to make up our clergy team. As I accept this charge, my prayer for our community is for authenticity and loving presence. Years ago, when I began my chaplaincy rotation in hospice care, I prepared myself to be with people at the end of their lives. I expected that these encounters would be emotional. And I remember that I was afraid to cry in front of my patients. Until I learned not to be so afraid of crying. Now, if my eyes well up with water, rather than trying to stop up my feelings, I have learned to let the tear fall. Rabbi Michal Springer taught me that there is no need to panic or try to hide or turn off my emotions. She taught me that letting a tear fall does not make me any less of a rabbi. Quite the opposite. It makes me more of a rabbi. In this role, I control, but I mustn't turn off my emotions. To bring myself to you as a human with feelings is to show you that you can bring yourself to me too. Our roles are distinct but mutual in that we each bring authenticity and loving presence to this relationship. And the symbolic imagery that I'm using for this, authenticity and loving presence, is letting a tear fall. These past 9 months with you as your rabbi, I have seen your tears fall. And when you have sometimes apologized for them, I have reassured you. I have said something like, I am comfortable with your feelings. I am here for you where you are. Would you like to tell me about your tears? Rabbi Springer asked me this once. I learned this from her. It was a multi-layered gift. To me, in a moment of caring for me, and also because it's one of the many ways in which she continues to teach me how to be a rabbi, to be a pastor. I have shared my tears with you too. I can remember letting a tear fall at a Shiva minyan or a burial, listening to a family story many times, or in the gentle back and forth conversation of a Beit Din before a conversion. And I've already let tears fall tonight. I've spoken until now about connections of the heart. I'm also astounded by how much joy and meaning I have found in connecting with you intellectually. This is another type of authenticity. In countless one-on-one conversations, in prayer during Learner's Shabbat, in ancient rabbinic law, in modern Jewish law, in another course, Animals in the Jewish Tradition, and sessions with many, many Bethel groups. I love that we learn so passionately and so energetically here. I love that about Bethel. After I teach, this is not an exaggeration, I am showered with emails asking more questions, sharing ideas and articles to add more layers to our discussion. Always there's a thirst, always for more commentary, for more. And so at the end of the day, on days especially when I'm teaching classes, multiple classes, I often find myself happily exhausted by your excited minds. And I love it. I love it. In this intellectual space, let the tear fall means asking a hard question or sharing an undeveloped idea. This is when we show vulnerability, and vulnerability requires trust. And for me, this is the sweet spot, to integrate the connection of mind and heart, to engage in this sacred and dynamic process of knowing and being known, growing together. So my vision and my prayer for us is that we continue to build authenticity and loving presence now within our community. And I hope that we can recognize the role that history plays in shaping who we are. How do we have an authentic and loving and present relationship with our ancestors? Many of you have heard me speak about what it means to engage with our ancient legal tradition. I will have words on that tomorrow morning. Tonight, I want to focus on what it means to be in relationship with our more recent ancestors. We are in the week after Yom HaShoah. And for me, as the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor, looking my ancestors in the eye requires that I devote myself to witnessing and honoring their loss. I call on us to prepare for one day soon when we will no longer have living survivors. We still do, and may they live to 120. We say Ad Mea V'Esrim. But even if they do, one day we will have to carry the identity of survivor without them. Many from my father's generation, the second generation, the children of survivors, have taken on the role of making sure that we never forget. But do we rely on them alone to carry the burden of their parents' pain? Or haven't they inherited enough? We must summon the courage, and we must do the work to become a people who survived. We must do this even when it's painful, even when we're tired, even when we might sometimes rather forget. We might hear never forget. Maybe sometimes we would rather forget. But to have an authentic and loving and present relationship with our ancestors, we must integrate the Shoah, the Holocaust, into the core of our identity as Jews. And after we do that, we must pass that on to our children. And so this leads me to my final question for us for tonight from me. What does it mean to have an authentic and loving and present relationship with future generations? We must not only honor our ancestors, but we must somehow learn to become good ancestors ourselves. Become good ancestors ourselves. From the book, What Kind of Ancestor Do You Want to Be? We are responsible for how we write our values what storylines we further and set forth, the world we choose to cultivate for the lives that follow us. A good ancestor empowers the living to live well, so that life may flourish and the channel between ancestors and descendants may continue to flow. Being a good ancestor means understanding how to handle power, how to hold it, when to hand it over, and how to transform it. To Bethel's young people and that entire generation, and those that will come after them, we owe them good ancestorship. When they show us who they are, and when they ask questions, when they search for meaning, we owe to them to love them and to be proud of them and to guide them with the best possible advice and meaning that we can give to them. And also we owe them that we honor them by asking them questions, by trying to understand them, by stretching ourselves for them, even if that means we have to give up some of our power and some of our certainty in order to make space for them to be who they are and to make this world theirs. As I say Shabbat Shalom and good night, I pray that we continue to be authentic, and that through trusting each other in this way, we will be more of a loving presence for each other. Now, here in this community, and hopefully, God willing, for many years to come, and with our ancestors, and with our children. I hope that we can let the tear fall. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.